talking about where they belong. No, they're good. If you want my honest opinion, which healer should you play in the War Within in 11.05? Let's talk about it. Guys, thank you for joining into the video. This is Mr. Horse, and we are going to do a tier list on the best healers to play right now in Mythic Plus in the War Within. This is only for Mythic Plus. No raid, no delves, none of that questing bullshit. Just tier list. Alright, so let's get started on it. We'll go ahead and start with Resto Druid. So, Resto Druid, I like Resto Druid, honestly. Resto Druid's one of the most fun healers for me to play. I love the cat weaving and making sure you apply all your hots and then you apply all your moonfire and sunfire and you just have like all this stuff to keep up, and it's just like a constant juggle of, you know, all this like stuff that you have to constantly keep in remind of. You have your life balloons, you have your rejuves, you have your efflorescence. I mean, it's good, right? And the only bad thing about it right now is the throughput and the feedback loop with the Grove Guardians. With the new tier set, it doesn't really capitalize on the fact that they added in the Grove Guardians in like season 3 of the Dragonflight, which they had a really good tier set. The Grove Guardians basically just made sure, or the Grove Guardians just really added that extra layer of kind of burst healing and kind of netted that class to where they had a nice baseline of healing when they needed it. Now it's not so much. Like, you're kind of left exposed if you don't know exactly when the damage is going to hit. It's kind of like a Discipline Priest, but not so good, right? Not as good. It's just, yeah, a little weak. You have trouble with the damage checks, especially with Balanced Druid being so good right now, and Guardian's okay as well. Like, it's not doing too bad. I think Resto Druid's having a hard time finding the groups because of that reason, and pugs. So if you are in a pug and you want to play a healer, I would not choose Resto Druid right now. That's my opinion, but you can play whatever you like. For those reasons, I think I'd say we'll put them in B tier. I feel like yeah, B tier is a good place for them. So they're like okay. Like, if you have a coordinated group, they do bring Mark of the Wild, which is really good. They do have some niche utility. They do have some good damage as well, but they don't really have the most damage out of the healers now, and that kind of hurts them a lot too, because they were known as like the damage healer. So they're just kind of like not doing so hot right now. So I'll put them in B tier, where they belong. No, they're good. So let's move on with Holy Priest. Holy Priest. Holy Priest. If you want my honest opinion, Holy Priest is like not a good version, not as good of a version as Discipline Priest. Like, they don't have a kick. They have a freaking AoE sphere that sucks. Like, they're kind of squishy. They have some decent burst healing with their, you know, things like their holy words and their damage. They used to do a little more damage. I don't know. Their damage is just kind of mediocre now. They did get some buffs, like in season 4 Dragonflight or something, with their damage. It's just kind of like they're just not the greatest for Mythic Plus, and especially, I mean, obviously they bring PI, Power Infusion, which is really good. That's really good to have in group play and everything like that. They bring Mind Soothe, which is really good. Although Mind Soothe doesn't really get a lot of use anymore, like it used to. Especially, they nerfed that as well. But and then they have Power Word Fortitude, which is good. But I just named 3 things that Discipline Priest also has. So for those reasons, I think Holy Priest, not too good if you're pugging. Yeah, I would not play Holy Priest. So we'll put them in D tier for now. They're like super bad, in my opinion. Now, when I say that, that doesn't mean that if you're in a coordinated group and you know how to play your class and you've been playing Holy Priest for 10 years, I think you know a little more than I do about the ins and outs of how to play the class against a hard, you know, like having a hard time. Like, you know how to maneuver around these obstacles because you've been playing the class for so long. But somebody just picking it up, I would not do Holy Priest right now. So just keep that in mind. Now, Holy Paladin. Holy Paladin is okay. I enjoy Holy Paladin. I have them as my alt. I have all these as alts right now. I'm not playing Holy Priest though, but yeah, for obvious reasons. But right now, Holy Paladin feels pretty good. They just have a little. I mean, I just feel so exposed outside of my cooldowns. Like, as soon as I use my Divine Toll, as soon as I use my wings, and that time in between my next wings or the next Divine Toll coming off cooldown, I mean, I just feel like I'm weak as fuck. I mean, it's just like, I'm like exposed. I have to, like, say, I don't know. You just feel so, like, exposed because your base strength of your class, I think once they get a little more stats, they'll be really good. So I'm thinking like 11.2, something similar to what happened in Dragonflight, to where the Holy Paladin got that rework and they were really strong. They were really strong because they had a little bit of stamina and everything from the expansion, because you're like in the second season, so you're like, you know, you have a little bit of gear, so their baseline kit was just modified, like in you know, strengthened that much by those raw stats. In the season 1 of the War Within, like, we don't have that abundance of stats like that, so it just doesn't feel that great to use when you try to cast your spenders and they just like piss in the wind when you need that healing throughput like right now. So Holy Paladin, for them to actually feel really good, like, their spenders have to feel good. You have to, every time you press a spender, like, you have to really feel like your spender matters and that it makes an impact, or the class feels like dog shit because you're outside of your cooldowns. Like, what else do you have? You know, you can't freaking, you know, flash heal him or whatever the spell is. You know, it just kind of feels clunky in that regard. So for those reasons, I put Holy Paladin at the top of B tier. I think they're a little better than Resto Druid right now, but not by much. So they actually just did get a rework with their base tree, not the Holy Paladin tree, but just the Paladin tree. I've heard some mixed reviews about that. I've kind of heard some more closer to not so good reviews about that. So I'd say they're just kind of like in the B tier for now. So Mistweaver Monk. Mistweaver Monk is, I think they're really good. They're super solid. Just like always, Mistweaver Monk is kind of one of those ones that just like flies under the radar and just kind of is one of those that nobody really talks about or anything. But Mistweaver Monk's a lot of fun. They had a lot of play in season 3 of Dragonflight when they were definitely meta during that time. They had the most, they were the most popular healer, I think. Pretty sure. Could be wrong on that, but they were definitely like top healer during that season. So, and that's the one I actually played. So that was a lot of fun. I like the feedback loop with the spinning crane kicks and you're healing out using that. Shaylin's gift is like fucking awesome. I love Shaylin's gift. You get a fat 10 stack of Shaylin's gift and just wham, like right on your group. Like they go from 0 to 100. You're just like cash money on that. So that's a lot of fun to play. And then I just like the melee feeler. I think they're tanky enough to make it work. Holy Paladin, that's why Holy Paladin kind of feels weird, because they don't have like a lot of defensives. Like Mistweaver has a little more, even though they did have more in season 3. They did take some of their tankiness away this season, but they're still pretty solid. So I would say Mistweaver, I'd say I put them in the middle of B tier right now. I think they're better than Resto Druid, but I think Holy Paladin edges them out just a little bit in performance. So yeah. Now, moving on to Discipline Priest. So Discipline Priest brings a lot of things. The PI, the barrier, which is really good. Obviously, Atonement healing is good. The damage reduction that Atonement brings is really good. They have a lot of good burst healing from that regard. They're really good in group play, concentrated groups. Pugging, honestly, pugging not so much. But in the high pugging like super high keys, like almost title range keys or one below, I think Discipline Priest will see a lot more play. Oh, they are seeing a lot more play because they're pretty solid. They bring some decent damage with their, it's like Chaos Entropy or some shit. And yeah, so they're just pretty solid right now. So I'll put them in A tier. Obviously, they bring the PI, they bring the Fortitude, they bring all the good stuff that Holy Priest brings. They just bring it better. So for those reasons, I'll put them in A tier. Prezivoker. Prezivoker is the throughput king. They had a lot of play in the Race to the World first because they had the fucking crazy throughput in the raid. They were like healing like a million more freaking HPS than the rest of the healers. They did get nerfed in the raid just a little bit, and Og did catch a couple nerfs, which kind of like in turn nerfed Prez a little bit, but they're still really solid and they can still heal really high keys. They bring a lot of defensive capabilities like Zephyr. They have scales. I mean, they're solid. The only problem they face and the only big hurdle that you'll have to overcome as a Prez is the distance of your healing capabilities. So they have like a max range of like, I don't know what it is, 35 yards or something. I could be wrong, but they definitely can't reach the distance that you need to heal somebody when you need it. So like sometimes it'll be fine, you know, you'll be in the distance, and then the one time that it's not, like they're for sure going to die because you can't reach them with your healing abilities. So that kind of sucks, and that feels really bad. So for that reason, I think Prez is good. They can definitely do the healing, and they do have the defensive capability, but yeah, so they're just kind of not like pug friendly, but they're super good in like coordinated groups and probably higher keys as well. So I think Prez is good in that regard. So I'll put them kind of like the lower A. All right. And last but not least, we have Resto Druid. So Resto Druid, I think you've already seen it. If you've ever seen or posted a key, you'll see a lot of Resto Druids in your queue. We all knew it was coming. We all saw it in beta. Resto Druid, what am I talking about? Resto Shaman. God. Sorry. Resto Shaman. Everyone knew it. Everyone saw it coming. Resto Shaman, Resto Shaman, Resto Shaman. They were doing really good in beta. They obviously got the new buff with Sky Fury, and that kind of makes them a little like hot kid on the block now. So they've been doing super solid. Their throughput's solid. They got some extra defensive capabilities with things like Earth Elemental, things like your Stone Bulwark Totem, things like your, it's called like Earthen Wall Totem. That's really good, but doesn't see a lot of play in like Mythic Plus, but it's good in Raid for sure. Yeah, so they're just really good. They're easy to play. They're probably easier to play out of the top healers here, so they're definitely easier to play than Discipline Priest, and probably easier to play than Prez. Prez just has that, you know, like we were talking about earlier, the distance barrier. But overall, Resto Shaman is really good. They're tanky, they have a shield, they got that block chance, which is really good. They're male, so they can kind of take a little bit of hits. Like I said, they got that defensive capability, they got the buff. So they're just bringing it all this season. They have the lowest kick in the game. They have the short timer on NCAP totem, which is really good when like kicks are important and stuns are important still, to just kind of hold the pack up until we can get our kicks back up. That's what NCAP is for. So I think it's just really solid. They have their poison cleansing totem. It did get nerfed, but honestly, you can find ways around it. You can have another shaman in the group do the poison cleansing totem for you. You can use things like totemic recall to get the poison cleansing totem back. So I don't know, it's kind of did hurt their kit a little bit, but not enough to take them out of S tier. That is my tier list for Mythic Plus. If I was gonna pug, I would either choose a Prezivoker, Discipline Priest, or Resto Shaman, or whichever one you have fun with. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.